Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at the Euro USD and GBP USD and come up with trade ideas for the day, if there are any. So, jumping right into it, looking at Forex Factory, we see that this week there is not much news going on. So, Monday, Tuesday, no news. Wednesday, we do have President Trump speaking, but this is at 2 a.m. So, in the UK, I'll be sleeping, right? And then on Thursday, we have unemployment claims, 130, and then we have core PPI. Okay, so pretty much will be whatever speech will be made, it might be the driver for the day or for the rest of the week. Otherwise, we may really see a bit of impulse or volatile movement maybe on the Thursday into the Friday. Okay, so this week there's not much news going on. So let's look at the charts. Let's see what we're expecting, what has happened, and maybe what to look for going forward. So on the Euro USD, we've been saying that we are bullish. Okay, so the main trend is bullish. Swing and internal, they're both bullish. Okay, however, we've been in this pullback phase. Okay, where we pulled back and then we had a bit of retracement. Okay, and then into this supply, which held and then went on to make a lower low. Okay, now we've mitigated this demand, this pivot demand in the discount. Okay, and we are starting to see a reaction from there. Okay, so same thing on the pound. We had bullish breaks of structure, swing and internal. So the main trend and internal, they are bullish. However, we've been having a pullback. We mitigated the supply, respected it, and then made a push lower. And then now we've mitigated this pivot demand, which is right at the equilibrium. Okay, so we've mitigated and then we've had a reaction. All right, and then everything else below here has been mitigated already. So we have a demand chain. So if price decides to continue going bearish, then it's likely that these areas could fail. Okay, we do have this demand which is in deep discount, as well as this one at the extreme. Okay, however, this one is the decisional. Okay, let me clean that up. So this demand, all right, where we've had the reaction, is the decisional, same as this one. It's also the decisional. Price so far is mitigated and it's reacting bullish. So let's look at the 4-hour, and we'll start with the Euro USD. So we've had this is our main push. This is where we broke structure to the upside. So our swing structure is bullish, and our internal, this is where we had the internal push that went on to break structure. So this is our decisional, which is also our internal. So our internal is also bullish on the 4-hour. And after a swing break of structure, we expect a pullback to take place, and price has been in this pullback phase. And then we did have a push up where we went on to mitigate this daily supply, and then now we've come back down and we've broken structure to the downside. We've mitigated this demand, which is nested at the proximal of this daily demand area, and we've had a strong reaction from there. Okay, and this is what we had been anticipating. So obviously after break of structure, we expect a pullback. So we've had a break of structure. We did have a few continuations into the zone, right, into this 4-hour zone, and then eventually now we have moved away from the zone. in terms of from a structure perspective, from a substructure perspective, this was the last low. Okay, so this is where we've had our change of character on the 4-hour. Okay, change of character on the 4-hour. So that means we do have fractal demand right there. And then this E is the extreme, so I'll just cover those lows. And that's what we have. So let me move this over. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And then from a supply standpoint, we do have this area. That price is going into, and of course we can notice that we do have a bit of a trend line right there. Okay, so we can expect, okay, my expectation would be that maybe price will continue violate the supply. Okay, maybe have a reaction to come down as well. Okay, if it doesn't come up and violate that, then it might come into the zone and then react. Okay, hopefully, you know, come back down to mitigate this, and then we could look for the longs. So that's it on the 4-hour, and then looking on the 1-hour. So looking on the 1-hour, let's see. Okay, so my swing range has obviously been violated. So right there, that's our 1-hour internal breakup structure. So our 1-hour, we are bearish. Okay, this is my swing structure. We are bearish. We had this push down, we had this push up, and then we've had a break. So actually, this is a swing break. Okay, that's a swing break, and then I'll remove that, and then this. Need to see the highest point. So my swing break, let's see. Okay, so that is the highest point. Yes. So swing, we're bearish. Okay, swing is bearish, and then we've had strong pushes of price. We mitigated this 1-hour demand. Okay, we mitigated this 1-hour demand, and then we had a push up and then a push down. We didn't sweep, so we've created relatively equal lows, and then we continued up, mitigated this area, had a reaction, and then now we've pushed up strongly, and this supply areas, this has failed. So now price is reaching up into this supply. So on the 1-hour, our internal is very much bullish. Okay, our internal is very much bullish. We've mitigated, had a reaction, and now we are pushing back up again. So it is likely that this 1-hour supply will fail, as well as we may expect this 4-hour supply to fail as well. So that means demand is now taking control. Okay, buyers are now taking control. So looking at this, that's our nested 1-hour demand, and then from lower time frames, everything else is mitigated except this. Oh, that's also mitigated. Okay, right there. So pretty much everything else is mitigated. So what do we have? Alright, so I'll just cover this low. Okay, I'll just cover that low as well. Alright, so supply eliminated, and then our internal structure is bullish on the 1 hour. Okay, our internal structure on the 1 hour is bullish. So our internal is only facilitating a swing pullback. Okay, when you anticipate that this 1 hour internal is shifted bullish to facilitate the swing pullback, and then this is at the equilibrium of the swing range. Okay, this is at the equilibrium of the swing range, and then the only other zones that we have that are not mitigated would be somewhere in this area. Okay, this is where we would have our supply that is unmitigated. I'll just cover the high like that. Okay, so everything else has been mitigated, so it is likely that price could sweep these areas. Okay, it is likely that price could sweep all of these areas. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, this is what we have so far. So 1 hour swing is bearish, and then our internal is bullish. We are getting into this area, so we could wait and see if we have a reaction to go short. Okay, otherwise we might wait for this to fail, and then once this fails, look for potential zones, you know, to go lower. Okay, after confirmation. So that's it on the Euro USD, and then looking at the pound. Looking at the pound, we've got on the 4H. So on the 4 hour, we broke our internal structure. We had this strength, we had this bearish push, and then we mitigated this for our demand, and now we're having a bullish reaction. So this could be the start of an internal sub-internal pullback. Okay, so we could come up to these areas. Who knows? This doesn't look good, so it's possible we could come up into any of these areas or sweep these areas. Okay, and then continue to come bearish. Okay, if the bearish trend is still continuing. So right now the only clear area that we have would be that one. Okay, and then everything at the top has been mitigated. Everything at the top has pretty much been mitigated. Shows you could cover this area, not the best supply. Okay, so you could cover those highs, something like that. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, this is what we have. So our swing was bullish, our internal is bearish. Okay, on the 4 hour. This is what we are looking at. So price could come in, okay, sweep these areas and then continue short. If this fails, or just mitigate, okay. So there are a number of scenarios. Price could come in, sweep this area, okay, and then have a reaction bearish. Or price could just come in, tap into this for supply, have a reaction bearish. Or price could just violate this area completely, come in to mitigate this supply at the top and have a reaction bearish. And then of course lastly violate to have a reaction bearish. So the thing is, we'll have to wait and see how price behaves, and then make decisions accordingly. So looking at the 1 hour, we do have the supply at the proximal of this 4-hour area. Okay, and that's what we have, and then we have all these areas of supply at the top. Okay, so our 1 hour swing is still bullish, our internal is bearish, and then our internal, our sub-internal shifting bullish. Okay, so obviously we are coming from a demand, 1 hour demand that's nested in a 4-hour demand that's nested in a daily demand. Okay, so it is likely, okay, because we're coming from daily demand, it is likely that this area could fail, all of it. Okay, all of it could fail. Okay, so we may anticipate that price might come in, have a reaction, okay, sweep these areas, come in, mitigate this extreme, have a reaction. We may have a new demand area formed right there, or wait for price to come into this area, okay, to then look for longs afterwards. Okay, so that's a scenario that we could be looking at, all right, at the moment. That's a scenario that we could be looking at the moment. So on the pound, I think, let's see, that's the only thing that is clear, really. That's the only scenario that is clear. So we just be waiting for that. Okay, we just be waiting for that. Understanding that from a high time frame, we were in a bearish pullback. The pullback could be complete, who knows, or the pullback could just be making another retracement before it continues. Okay, so we have to anticipate and react accordingly. So other than that, I think those are my ideas for today, and we'll just wait and see looking forward. So please, if you're finding help with this material, please do like, do subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know how you are finding benefit of this material. Otherwise, have a good day, and Working Trader out.